Hiya, Munchkins. Coach Jackie here. I'm so happy to be joining you for this year's Guest Reader Day at Center School. This is one of my most favorite events every year, and I can't wait to be back with you live and in person. Over the last several months, we've all had to get a bit more creative about playing and keeping ourselves entertained. We've had to really use our imaginations to do things in new and different ways. The book that I've chosen to read with you ties into that theme of being creative and using our imagination. It's one of my favorite books. It's called Fabulous Franko and His Fabulous Toys. It's written by a lady named Jane Matlock, and it's illustrated by a very good friend of mine named Kate Seeley. She's a wonderful artist and her pictures are really creative, so I hope you'll enjoy them. Sit back and relax. This book is dedicated to all the fabulous adventures in your imagination. Now, Fabulous Franko, who is a friend of mine, was always very fast and the first one off the line. His car was cherry red, its tires shiny black, and when he went out driving, he wore a funny hat. He loved to go around corners very, very fast, and only in his nightmares was he ever last. Until a dreadful day when fate would turn a trick and Franko drove his little car onto a pointy stick. The tires lost its air and the car spun round and round, and Franko woke up crying, his body on the ground. The car was scratched and broken and sitting in the mud, and when Franko got up smartly, he fell down with a thud. His very best possession, his fancy little car, not on the road as normal, but sitting off the tar. What would he do? How could he live without his love and joy? I know, he said, I'm going to have to find another special toy. He cried and cried in anger. It won't ever be the same. I know, he said and smiled. I'll go and make a plane. Now, Fabulous Franko, who is a friend of mine, only flew his airplane when the day was nice and fine. He started down the runway and pushed the levers high, and as it went into the air, his plane began to fly. Round and round he flew, and up and down, of course, screaming with delight until his voice was hoarse. His fancy little airplane was red in color too, and you could clearly see him against the sky so blue. Then one day, as Frankie was flying up so high, some ugly-looking clouds developed in the sky. The air got cold and windy, and then there came some rain, and suddenly our Franko could not control his plane. He pushed the levers this way and he pushed the levers that, but then the plane stopped quickly and landed with a splat. Oh no, he cried, my plane, my favorite love and joy. I'm going to have to go and find another special toy. He cried and cried in anger as he put on his best coat. I suppose I'm going to have to go and make myself a boat. Now, Fabulous Franko, who is a friend of mine, loved his little powerboat and its fancy fishing line. He took it out to sea and rode it on the waves. And if he really wanted to, he could stay on it for days. He had a little kitchen, a lounge, and bedroom too. In fact, it was so fancy, it even had a loo. He could motor on for hours awash with salty air, and then pull up an anchor to contemplate and stare. He would often dream of pirates and all their daring tales, and think of all the seamen fighting vicious gales. He loved the peace and quiet and fishing on his own, and often called his little boat his home away from home. Now what a day our Franko had with sun and fish and beach, until he drove his fancy boat onto a coral reef. "Oh blast," he cried, "oh blimey, my favorite love and joy. I'm gonna have to go and find another special toy. A rocket ship, a motorbike, or perhaps an army tank. I suppose I'm gonna have to count my money in the bank." Now fabulous Franko, who is a friend of mine, thought very long and hard before going out to buy. He walked into the shop, and with the money in his pocket, he looked around to see he had enough to build a rocket. The rocket took off quickly and roared off to the moon, and from its little window he could see its long smoke plume. He went round all the planets, he went round all the stars, and then my best friend Franko went to visit Mars. Now Franko was quite anxious and keen to come back home, so he never left the rocket, just peeked out of its dome. He saw some scary Martians coming out to play, and that's when clever Franko decided not to stay. He started up the engines and roared off with a blast, and came back round the planet super fiery fast. On coming down to home, he landed with a crash. His shiny little rocket became a tangled mash. "Oh no," he cried another time, "my favorite love and joy. I'm going to have to go and make another special toy." Now fabulous Franko, who is a friend of mine, decided that an army tank would suit him mighty fine. He drove it through a creek and up a big steep hill, and when he slammed the brakes down fast, the tank stopped very still. The shiny big red tank drove on a funny tread and made a big fat mess on his mother's garden bed. He wore a special suit with special vision glasses so he could see at night through all the foggy passes. He took it on the sand and up and down the beach and to the strangest places quite out of normal reach. The army tank was freedom and untold joy and fun, so he could chase the baddies and get them on the run. Until one day our Franko thought up a crazy game and crashed his army tank whilst driving in the rain. "Oh, not again," he cried, "my favorite love and joy. Why can't I find an everlasting, strong, and sturdy toy?" Now can you guess what Franko, who is a friend of mine, found for his special toy on his final time? He'd smashed his fancy car, a rocket, plane, and tank, and now our poor young Franko had no more money in the bank. What would he do? What could he do with no money for a toy? He'd have to think of something else to give him love and joy. He could learn to ski or skate or paddle a canoe. And when you really think of it, there's a million things to do. To read or cook or play a game or simply take a walk. To draw a special picture on a board with nice white chalk. So next time when you're bored and can't think of a new game, just think of our sweet Franko and you can be the same. Sit still and close your eyes and concentrate most hard. Then draw the grand ideas your mind sees on a card. Now, this is how we dream and make our future plans, to always use our minds and make things with our hands, to love and laugh and smile and have the best of friends, to always do our very best and be happy. The end. So Munchkins, thanks for sharing a little bit of time with me and with our friend Fabulous Franko. I hope you enjoyed the story. I hope you enjoyed the beautiful pictures by my friend Kate, and I hope you enjoy reading as much as I do. Hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.